Vanessa Marquez, your friendly vegetarian here, and you are listening to Bariatric Surgery, the good, the bad, and the ugly, specifically discussing gastric bypass this week on the Skinny Podcast. I interviewed Pierre and Vanessa, who had his gastric bypass procedure a little over 2 years ago and has lost 160 pounds. I had gastric bypass 7 years ago and my total weight loss was 112 pounds. If you are considering having gastric bypass or any bariatric surgery, I hope you enjoy this episode and I will see you soon. We are here today with Mr. Pierre and Vanessa. How is it going, Pierre?
It is going wonderful. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to do this interview. When I had the chance to interview Pierre, I was super excited because as many of you who are following us know that we're doing a series on bariatric surgery and the different types of surgeries. And when I reached out to Pierre, we had a lot of similarities and a lot of things in common. One of them being that we both had gastric bypass. So I'm really excited to be able to talk about that with Pierre and kind of go from there. You ready?
I am ready.
Awesome. So, Mr. Pierre, why gastric bypass? Like, at what point did you realize that you needed to make a change and that this was it for you?
I think over the last couple of years of my life, I got to a point where I felt that I wasn't living a good quality of life. For most of my childhood, I played football, I played basketball, captained the football team. So I've always stayed active. And then as I got older and started working my career, I've been at the same company like 20 years and stuff like that. I went from being in active jobs to basically corporate America jobs, sitting around, call center environment where food is readily available. There's a food day for this, there's a birthday for this. Hey, buy my child's Girl Scout cookie, buy my son's popcorn for. So over that time, I would go up and down in weight and stuff like that. I used to work out, I stayed active, I do sports and stuff like that. I played softball, played in the men's basketball league. And it got to the point, I want to say, over the last 4 or 5 years where I just kept on getting hurt. I was playing softball, I got hurt, I had a bad knees, I had a bad back. I had to get cortisone shot in my knees, cortisone shot in my back. And as that time continued, I went from like being a person who weighed about maybe 250, 260, where I stayed kind of muscular fit and kind of blew up. And then as I blew up, medical issues started popping up.
Mm-hmm.
My cholesterol level started going up, my blood pressure started going up. I started having problems with sleep apnea. I had problems with acid reflux. And it has seemed that no matter what I did, I'd lose a little weight, it would get a little bit better, and then something would happen where I'd work out, get hurt, my back would, lock up on me, and then once again, I'd put on the weight back on again. And then I want to say over the last 3-4 years of my life, it's when, I was at a low point, and I think at this time I was getting close to the heaviest weight I've ever been, got up to like 380 pounds, and I was self-diagnosed where I was working out, but I was having problems working out. I was always tired. Like I would get to the gym and I was working out, and then they diagnosed me with atrial fibrillation. Okay. So on top of high blood pressure, on top of high cholesterol, on top of acid reflux, on top of sleep apnea, now my heart was in AFib. So with the AFib, it really got serious for me because now I had to go see a cardiologist. So now, I saw my regular doctor for, my blood pressure and, exercise a little bit, blood pressure goes down, okay, everything was great. My cholesterol's high, take some blood pressure, cholesterol medicine, eat better, it went down, so everything was great. Sleep apnea, I had the machines, so I was sleeping with this Darth Vader thing on my face all the time.
Right.
And it's not cute,
right.
When you just kind of sleep with that. And some nights I slept with it great, some nights I didn't. And then I paid for it because the nights I didn't sleep, I'd go to work, and to kind of help me get through my job, I would either drink a lot of soda, I'd eat candy bars, I would eat stuff to snack out during the day.
So that you needed all that energy.
I needed the energy to maintain my work, and especially I worked the office job, so you sitting in front of a computer 8, 9 hours, 10 hours a day, I just needed that constant sugar rush. And as I got tired, it seemed like I would increase the amount of sugar I needed, the amount of caffeine, the amount of things. So it just kept on like I was adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. So then when I got diagnosed with the atrial fibrillation, it really shocked me. And the doctor put me on Eliquis, which is a blood thinner.
Okay.
And he was like, Pierre, with this blood thinner, a strong dose he gave me, he was like, you have to be very careful. You can't work out. You got to be careful shaving. You got to be careful. If you nick yourself, you hurt yourself, you lift your weights, you drop something on you, you have the potential of bleeding out. And because the doses I'm giving you is because, you're a big guy and stuff like that, you have, a lot of complications you can suffer from being on the blood thinners, no alcohol, no, because everything that you're doing now is going to be magnified because of the blood thinners and stuff like that. So I want to say maybe like 2 years ago, I was with some friends at dinner. Went to Cooper's Hawk. It's just like, it's a friend's birthday.
I love that restaurant.
It's a great restaurant. I love going there too. Even though I'm not a big wine drinker.
Oh my God, that's why I love it.
Yeah, I love the food, but I love the ambiance. I love everybody going there and relax and stuff like that. So I went to dinner with my friends. There was about maybe 10 of us. And, I got there and I was feeling kind of off. And I was like, man, this, just don't feel right. I thought maybe I was just a little bit tired or something like that. And then, we sat down, ordered some food, and my friends are looking at me like, Pierre, what's wrong? And I'm like, something just doesn't feel right, Okay. I got to the point where now I'm shaking. They thought maybe I was low blood sugar,
Right.
Hey, drink some orange juice, do this. And it just didn't get any better. And at this time, I was already on the blood thinners, and I was already trying to, I already had the atrial fibrillation, and I was scheduled to have a cardio version where they shock your heart back into rhythm. But I had to be in the blood thinners for so long before
they were able to do that. Okay.
So long story short, I was there with my friends and had to rush me to the emergency room. My blood pressure was like 230, 240, something like crazy, over 100 and something. And then that's when I said to myself, okay, I was in the hospital for like 3-4 days. They had to go through my vein into my heart just to make sure I didn't have any blockage and stuff like that. And at that time, I talked to my cardiologist, I talked to my general practitioner, and just basically said, hey, I need to make some serious changes in my life because not only am I miserable, now I have all these health complications, and now it's getting serious. I definitely need to make a change so that way I can live a better and a healthier life because that's what I was used to most of my life, and I wanted to get back there.
Right.
So that's the long
No,
story.
and I appreciate that. And I actually want to touch on something that you said. Your doctor had you on a higher dosage because you were bigger. And that's what a lot of people don't actually realize. They don't realize that the bigger you are, the higher dose. It's not like, well, you have this condition, this is the dose that you get for that. It's based on your body mass. You realize that when they experience it, and then you're just like, well, wait a second, it's such a high dose, and then you feel like you're on this roller coaster. You can't get well because you already have whatever the condition is that the doctors are diagnosing you with, and then you get on the meds, and then the meds have side effects.
Yes.
So it's a catch-22. It's like you're either dealing with something that can obviously be life-threatening,
Yes.
And then you're on the meds, and then you're experiencing those side effects. It's kind of it's when you really come to the realization that you're like, well, crap, I really do have to do something about this,
Yeah, and like I said, I've been there where I've lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, depending, and I'm 47 years old, and as you get older, I'm saying I'm not that young guy playing football. I played some college football. I used to be a bouncer, so I used to work out all the time, and I used to live in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, so I always lived a very active life. But when you change your lifestyle and then these medical issues occur, it just gets harder and harder to make those changes.
Right.
And even like with my blood pressure medicine, I was on 2 types of blood pressure medicine, the extra, even like acid reflux, I was on 2 types of acid reflux medicine. And even with the medicine, I still was taking Tums, I was still taking Pepto-Bismol, I was still carrying extra stuff with me because it seemed like nothing was working at that time and stuff like that. So like you said, as you get bigger, you just find yourself taking more and more dosage of different medicine, and then you find yourself this working just to pay for pills.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, so it's kind of like I need to make a change in my life because at this rate, I'm either going to go broke or I'm going to die because I can't afford all my medicines and I can't do all this stuff. So definitely, it took a lot of decision to kind of go down this path. and I felt probably it was the best path for me. So
Did you compare the different types of surgeries? There's gastric bypass, there's the lap band, and then there's also the gastric sleeve.
Yeah.
Did you consider the three, or did you know exactly like which one you definitely wanted to have, and why did you choose the gastric bypass?
well, it's funny to say that because I consider myself to be a smart person. I mean, you know me a little bit. I'm somewhat smart.
Yeah, I think so.
And I did the research on the different types of surgery. I went on different websites to kind of see what gave the best results, what gave long-lasting results. I joined a bunch of different forums, Facebook forums, to kind of listen to different people and what their opinions were on the different types of surgery.
Yeah.
I've heard about the lap band because, figure that was like the cheapest and easiest, I was like, oh, that could be good, and at this time also I had to factor in what my insurance would and wouldn't cover.
Right.
Because each insurance plan have different qualifications of what you can and can't do. And in some companies, that may not even be an option on your insurance. That's something I didn't know. I'm like, well, I thought, hey, if it's a medical problem, they're like, but I talked to the doctors, like, yes, some insurance don't cover that, or your job may not cover that particular aspect of weight loss surgery because they have, whatever the thought process is, they may not have it. Even if you qualify for it, they may not sponsor it and stuff like that.
Right, and it also depends too, and I love that you brought that up because that is dependent on your plan. I remember the first time I went to a support group, not to change the subject on why you chose the surgery, but I went to like an information session, which is also like a support group, and I had a certain type of health insurance at the time, and I was so excited because I was like, oh, great. Well, I know somebody who had that health insurance and they got the surgery done and I couldn't, and it was because my job didn't have that plan. So that's definitely something to consider. Your doctor will definitely let you know, and that's a process that's handled by your doctor's office. So please do not feel overwhelmed if you're like, great, now I've got to contact my insurance company too. I mean, you can call them and ask them, but your doctor's office is actually the liaison between you and your insurance company. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so when looking at the different types of surgery, and I saw the results of the lap band, and I saw people who've had it and how easy it was to really gain weight after the fact. That there could be some complications that can go in there, and eventually you can gain some weight, and that over the long-term process, it seemed like the results weren't as good as someone who did the sleeve. And then I read the process about the sleeve, and once again, success rate, but then they showed the percentage of people who gained weight after the fact and then who wanted to get the most amount of weight loss, at that time, and the sleeve was another good option. But ultimately, because I thought there's another thing, there's gastric bypass, and I want to say there's another one called the Duella switch, if I'm not mistaken, where it's like even more intense, but that was like, I couldn't qualify for that one, but the gastric bypass seemed to have the best results, the longest results. Not only did it reduce my stomach size, but also it bypassed half my intestines. So that way, I had to be, not only, so whatever I ate, I couldn't even eat that much. But then if I did eat something, that I wouldn't absorb all the food that I ate. So that made more sense to me to say, okay, hey, the sleeves does something to your stomach, makes it smaller, but I think your intestines are intact. And once again, I'm out of medical profession.
That's the only thing. Actually, that's the only thing that does change with the sleeve is the size of your stomach. It's kind of like the size of a banana is what they compare it to.
Yeah.
Versus with the bypass, your intestines are reattached to your small stomach now. So, yeah.
So it made it, so that way, looking at the results, looking at the different comments that I read online and from different people, that was like a little bit more intense of a surgery.
Right.
But it seemed like that was the one that had the best results, the maximum amount of weight loss, and for long-term goals and options. Once again, I'm doing this for my life.
Exactly.
Not a short-term fix. I want this to be a long-term fix. And it seemed like the gastric bypass by far had the best result and the ultimate goal that I wanted to achieve for long-term success.
That's one of the reasons too that I chose gastric bypass. When people ask me like, well, why that one? That's so invasive. One of the things that my personality, I'm very type A, and I'm also a very big like go big or go home.
Yeah.
And I figured if I'm gonna go under the knife, then it's gonna go like I'm gonna go all in, And I was afraid that if I did the lap band, and for whatever reason there was some sort of complication or some adverse reaction to the silicone or whatever, and then that had to come out, then I'm starting over from scratch. The sleeve was too new when I had surgery.
Yeah.
I had surgery in 2013. I was concerned with, okay, your stomach is the size of a banana per se. Am I still going to eat a lot? I was borderline, on having diabetes again. My cholesterol and triglycerides were crazy high. So I was like, okay, I did the same thing. I compared my options and I was like, well, gastric bypass, like the people who have had that, from what I've studied and the questions that I've asked and people I've met, that has eliminated all of those problems.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it doesn't come without its side effects. It was something that I definitely, that's why I chose that as well, is because I knew that it was like the highest rate of success. I am 6.5 years out and I have not gained the weight back. Pierre, you're almost 2?
Almost 2 years. February will be, today's October, so just in case anybody's seen it. It's February will be 2 years for me.
Okay.
And definitely, I will say this thing I think I mentioned to you earlier, my results are not the norm.
Right.
And same thing, I'm very type A, very go-getter. I've always been a hustler and always been motivated to do things. So, I knew I was going to get the surgery, and I knew that the moment I could start doing what I needed to do to get the results I wanted, I'm going to go 1,000% to get it done.
Right.
So, so for me, compared to you doing it 6 years ago to doing it now 2 years, is a lot of things have changed.
Yeah.
And because I talked to somebody, a coworker of mine, and she had the surgery about 15 years ago.
Wow.
And because I used to ask her questions about it too. And it was funny because for her, she's like, the things I told her that I was doing, or she was like, man, we didn't have that back then. We didn't have this back then. Or, so her process was totally different from the process that she explained from when she had her surgery to me having my surgery. And I'm just like, well, no, we don't do that anymore. No, they don't do that anymore. Yeah. So it's definitely, I can imagine even 6 years is not that far away, and I guess medical advancement, 6 years could be a long time compared to stuff.
That's like an eternity.
So there's so many different options and so many things happening, but it shows that if I don't want to get into her personal story, but depending on your surgery you have, I know she had some good results. She kept it off, for the most part. I think she gained some weight, but she's a little bit older than me. But at the same time, her life is still, like 15 years later, she's still living an active life. She's enjoying it. She has no regret, and that's something that kind of motivated me to say, okay, yeah, I definitely. And I think she had the gastric bypass as well. So, but once again, I don't know how different it was back then.
Right.
She kind of helped guide me to that decision as well.
Was your surgery laparoscopic?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to say they did like 6 incisions into my stomach, and one thing I've been blessed with, I'm not a person who scars, and I've had multiple surgeries.
Amazing. Yeah.
Like at this time, I look down at my stomach and I do not see any of the scars from when they did it and stuff like that, which I've been blessed. But at the same time, I was taking biotin. Because that was supposed to be good for your skin.
Yeah.
And then, I went online and I bought like cocoa butter, skin, firmer, stuff like that, just to kind of rub on my stomach, just to make sure nothing was there. And so, there's a lot of things I could tell you if someone ever decides to get this process done. I have a list of things that I tried to make sure that I got the best results, and I was doing it all just to make sure that I enhanced what I was doing.
What you were doing. Yeah, absolutely. My surgery was laparoscopic, but I bring that up because most of them are nowadays. Currently, most of the surgeries are versus like 15 years ago. They probably cut her open to do the surgery.
I think they did cut her open to do that.
Yeah. Which is like an amazing advancement. The fact that they could even do that, and it's like through a screen, and it's like, I just think it's cool. But side note.
And then also to add to that, I was lucky because I had acid reflux and I had what's called a hiatal hernia. Mm-hmm. So whereas because my acid was always coming up, and I had like severe GERDs and stuff like that, that while they were in there, they're able to take care of the hiatal hernia for me too, and did that surgery on top of my insurance, where the doctor's like, there's no extra cost because I'm already in there.
They're already in there, okay.
And they can take care of that. And that was something that I was thinking about doing before the surgery. I was like thinking of having some type of acid reflux surgery.
Yeah.
But you need to do like a whole slew of tests and a whole slew of processes to get approved for it, because it's not always guaranteed that it's going to work, But they were able to do that for me too. So I just want to throw that in there.
That's amazing. So you found leaf also, I mean, which is huge. Can you tell me what I want to touch on this a little bit, and I know that it is totally different for everybody because, like you said earlier, your different insurance companies have different requirements. But how was that process for you, like getting approved, what the requirements were, and that kind of thing?
That was very time consuming, very, because basically I thought I would go in 1 week and be like, hey, I want to have surgery. I'm fat. I have all these, I got this issue. I almost died. I got heart problems. I have acid problems. I have this. I got like all the signs you need for this surgery. I had it. I'm like, okay, blood pressure, cholesterol, AFib, sleep apnea. Like I was like the poster boy for this surgery.
Okay.
And it wasn't that easy because now when I went and picked it, because there's so many doctors out there that do the surgery, I kind of looked around, talked to different friends who've had the surgery. I guess 1 or 2 friends, like I said, like a million friends had the surgery, but
right.
1 or 2 friends who've had it and, who they referred, and then went up. Once again, good thing about nowadays, the internet and everything is a lot more open, a lot easier to research and stuff like that. So you can kind of see who does the best results, and everybody has their favorite doctor and stuff like that. So I picked a place. So then when I went there, the first thing was I talked to my general practitioner doctor to kind of say, hey, doc, I'm having all these issues. What do you think? He's like, Pierre, you've been a patient for a couple of years, and I think this may be a good option for you, but understand that this is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like an easy fix, and you need to go through all this process. And like I'm not an expert on it, but I know it's a lot involved. I'm like, okay, I understand, but I'm ready for it. So when I picked the doctor that I was going to use and the center that I was going to use, I met with them, and then first before I did that, I called my insurance company just to kind of make sure that it was
even an option.
Even option for me. So I was aware that it was an option, but I didn't know which piece, they would cover or not cover. I just knew that there was some type of weight loss surgery plan.
Right. Okay.
So when I went to the doctor and basically I talked to the coordinator, and basically they weigh you, they kind of talk to you about your history, and then they give me a list that was like almost a page and a half long.
Okay.
And then I realized, wait a second, I have a lot of things I need to get done before they will do the surgery.
Yes, sir.
And there's multiple doctors that I need to see before I can get the surgery done.
Yep.
So the list basically comprised of, okay, hey, talking to my first thing was, they need to verify what insurance I had.
Right.
And then verify what surgeries I could and couldn't qualify for. So I knew that they did do it, but it was a matter of, okay, which of the 3-4 surgeries available would my insurance cover?
Right.
Okay. So then the next process I had to go through was, depending on your insurance company, some of them require that you lose some type of weight before you have the surgery, or you have to do like a meal plan, or you have to prove certain processes that you went through in the past to get you there. Like, have you dieted before? What exercises have you done? And then basically they make you kind of meet with like a nutritionist, and once again, depends on your insurance, and you have to wait like a 2-3 month period or 6 month period where you have to track your food, track your exercise, track everything before they'll even approve it. So then I had to go through that process and say, wait a second, I gotta wait. I think with mine, I had to wait like almost 4 months before I could even get ready to do the surgery, and I had to lose at least 10 pounds or something, weight before I can even get things. I will say this, that in that time frame, I lost 40 pounds on my own.
That's amazing.
So my doctor was shocked. He's like, you'd be amazed that people get the surgery, they're going to get the surgery, they lose 10 pounds and they gain back. No, by the time I had my surgery, I lost 40 and I kept the 40 off before I had my surgery.
Yeah.
So that was one step. So I had to go meet with like a nutritionist, get my medical doctor to sign off all my paperwork, all the stuff that I had done. Then because of my heart condition, I had to go get a heart release from my cardiologist saying that, okay, that I was going to get the AFib, I was going to get my cardio version. I had to get that first, and then I had to get a full clearance from him. So then I had to add more time to get that process done. Then I also had to meet with I'm not going to say psychiatrist, but a psychologist, so they can kind of review my mental state. And that's the biggest thing I tell people. If you have a mental illness, you have to go to a psychologist. And that's the biggest thing I tell people. If you have a mental illness, you have to go to a psychologist. So they can kind of review my mental state. And that's the biggest thing I tell people. If you have a mental illness, you have to go to a psychologist. So they can kind of review my mental state. And that's the biggest thing I tell people. you meet with a psychiatrist, and not only because they need to determine, but you need to be mentally ready to do the surgery too.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
I had no problem meeting with a psychiatrist because I already knew I was mentally ready to do this. And if you're not mentally ready to do this, that's the biggest hurdle you need to overcome, because it gets tough once you start going through the process.
Absolutely. Even just having the patience to have the to go through the process of having your insurance approve it can be difficult, and it can be really taxing. And 6 months seems like a really large number. I know for some people that have had the surgery, they had to wait the 6 months before their insurance would even offer, and that's not guaranteeing that they would offer approval.
No.
It's just show us what you're doing in 6 months. Even though you can say, well, I've been dieting since I was 6. I have been working out since I was this age, and this is how much weight I've lost. I was very fortunate. I was very blessed that my insurance company did not make me wait 6 months.
Yeah.
But they were very detailed. I had to see a psychologist twice. That was their requirement. And I got to tell you that out of all of the doctors that I had to see, that's the best one.
Yeah.
Because when you're healthy, or when you have certain conditions, you already know. For example, you knew you had an issue with your heart, so going into this, you knew that why you were doing this, right? For me, I knew, okay, my heart's okay, cool, let's get the cardiologist out of the way, check that off the list, the to-do list. I had to see a lung specialist, a respiratory doctor, I don't know what they're called, but check that off the list. But when I saw the psychologist, that was really, and it was just 2 sessions, that was really getting to the nitty-gritty of why are you having this surgery? What are your expectations? How are you mentally prepared? For all of the changes. And it's not so much the, okay, they want to make sure you're mentally stable, but they know the changes that are about to come, and they want to make sure that you're ready for that. So.
And it also too, food is an addiction.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're an addict and you're not ready to change, you can go to rehab all you want to.
Yep.
But it's not going to change. So if you have a food addiction, and if you're not a person who's strong enough to break that cycle, it's almost the same thing. So seeing a psychologist really,
it makes you address that
issue.
Yeah.
Because they'll ask you certain questions, and they'll kind of talk about your lifestyle and stuff like that. And I know when I talked to my psychologist, she was like, "Yeah, I see you being a very good candidate for this thing," because I told her, hey, I'm ready. I'm here to get this done and stuff like that. So it definitely helped me to move along the process.
Yeah.
I know also in my process, I had to meet with, do an EKG.
Yes.
I also had to meet with, had to do a sonogram of my liver.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was one thing that if you had a fatty liver, which most fat people do have, or drinkers like that, because where they need to go in for the surgery, once again, I'm not a medical profession, but I was advised that if your liver is too big, and they go in there to do the surgery, that they can actually stop the surgery because they can't get by your liver to do the surgery. You know what I'm saying? So your liver has to be in a certain state, and it's like a diet you have to do 10 days before. I know, and that varies per person too, where you have to do a liquid diet 10 days before the surgery, and just to get your liver in a certain state to make sure you don't have fatty liver and stuff like that. So I remember doing that. I know I had to do the acid reflux test because of the acid reflux that I had, so they had to do where I stood in front of a machine and drank something, and so they can kind of track how the fluid went down in my system to kind of make sure I did have a hiatal hernia, which they verified I did have that.
Right.
So that was another doctor I had to see. Then I had to do blood work, I think twice for that process. So at this point, I think I saw 10, not say 10 different doctors, but it felt like 10 different doctors.
Right.
But I had to go to the hospital multiple times for different tests, for the liver test, and then for the acid reflux test, and then for the psychologist, and then the cardiologist, then the EKG. So it was a slew of things that had to be checked off before yet my insurance company would say, okay, yes, now you've gone through all these steps, you've done that, and then you had to meet with a nutritionist again afterwards so they can kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen. They explain to you what vitamins you need to take, what kind of supplements you're going to need to take for the rest of your life. Because it's not like, oh, you have the surgery, then everything's good. No, there's going to be supplements that you need for the rest of your life that you're going to maintain because of your gastric bypass, and people suffering from malabsorption and not eating right. So you need to eat certain vitamins to kind of compensate for what you don't get. You don't get from your food to eat. You know. So that was the list of things that I had to go through and different doctors that I had to see just to get approved. And once again, I was ready to do it. So even though it was annoying to go back and forth, I'm like, why can't I do it this time? Why do I have to keep coming back? But like, I felt like I was going back and forth. But once I knew these were the list of requirements that I had to go through, then I was able to do that and get it all done.
I want to touch on something you said, and I know I had said this earlier, that it takes some patience to definitely get this like approved. And it really, it makes you really wonder at times, like, do I really want to have this surgery? And some people are like, because I've heard of other people and have talked to people who are just kind of like, okay, well, maybe it's not meant to be because, you know, this didn't work out or that didn't work out. You really have to have the determination. And I got to tell you, your frame of mind before surgery is going to make all of the difference post-surgery. You know, like you said, you were ready for surgery. I was one of those people that I was like, okay, I'm ready. Once I knew I needed to have surgery, I was like, okay, let's do this. But the amount of patience that it took, and I remember the day, like my heaviest was 237 pounds. I was 229 when I went to the doctor to see the surgeon, and he was like, okay, Vanessa, I want you to lose 20 pounds before surgery. I was so angry because in my mind, I'm thinking, why do I have to lose weight if I'm about to have weight loss surgery? Okay, so let me tell you, I did lose the 20 pounds. And one of the things that I value the most is that it brings you back into perspective, because you're in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm gonna have surgery. But for me personally, it was like, okay, well, let me focus on this weight loss, you know, and 20 pounds doesn't seem like a lot, but it is, you know? And I was like, okay, well, you know, I started to eat right. I started to, you know, exercise a little more. I was doing spin classes before surgery, so I just kind of increased that and went to the gym a little more, and that put me in that mode, in that frame of mind, so that when I did go into surgery, I was already like in the upswing, instead of like, okay, let's have surgery and let's start that mental process, you know, which I think is huge. So if you're considering the surgery and your doctor tells you you have to lose weight before surgery, trust me, it is a blessing and something that is beneficial, not just for your health, but like mental health too, you know?
But and then also to add on to that, because I know, you know, during the 6-month period, you have to lose weight or lose some type of weight, you know, and I don't know if the exact number, I know it's like 10 pounds, 5 pounds, just show an attempt to lose weight. But then you get to that period right before the surgery where, like I said, my doctor started my liquid diet 10 days before, where I've read in forums where some people were 3, some went 5 days, and they could eat a little this, or eat that, you know. So I know during that period where I was like, oh my gosh, but I stuck to it. Because then once again, I'm in forums and you see people like, oh, I have to wait 10 days, but I cheated. And I didn't cheat. I know.
Exactly.
I drank my liquid protein when I was supposed to. And, you know, and my ultimate goal, like you said, is like an upswing. Because like I said, and I guess you probably want to ask me later on, but it's like I know I was going to start. I started off a certain weight and I lost so much weight before the surgery that by the time I had the surgery, it was like a continuation of losing. From that point on, and I felt great because I already lost some pounds, and I was continuing it. And then even when I showed up for surgery, the doctor was like, "Man," he's like, "Because it's funny how some people they know gonna have surgery, then right before the surgery they pig out. Oh, this is gonna be my last cheat meal of the thing." And I'm like, I'm not doing anything to jeopardize this surgery, so I'm gonna follow the plan to the T to make sure I qualify for it.
And by the way, if you think your doctors can't tell that you had a cheat meal the day before, they can.
No, they because they'll go in there and they'll see what's in there and they'll know that you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. That was just so funny because my doctor would tell us, like in our like info session support groups, he's like, if you think I can't tell, and he would stop surgeries too.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I'm not joking, you know. So Um, so I love this conversation and like the direction that it's going because I kind of wanted to pick your brain too on like what your first year was like, because like you said, like, so you're already on an upswing, you're doing everything you're supposed to do. A lot of people, they go through like this psychological change. I'll give you an example, like my own personal example. I remember the moment I woke up from surgery. I remember my very first thought, and as crazy as it is, because as ready as I was for surgery, the very first thing I remember thinking lying on that hospital bed was, what the hell did I do to myself?
Yeah.
Like, coming out of anesthesia, like that's the first thing I asked myself. And then I was like, oh my God, I really did this and there is no going back. So I can't imagine like starting from scratch, not already having lost weight, not already having gone through that process. So what was that like for you?
The first year, the first moment I got out of surgery, it's funny because, you get there and you're afraid, you're sitting in there. And I remember when I woke up from the surgery and I was like, am I skinny already?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, did you take any time? Yeah, did it work already? And then, because they talk about several things. They talk about, the biggest thing that made me nervous was like, you don't want to get blood clots in your legs, so you're going to have to get up and walk. Yeah. I'm like, but y'all just cut my stomach up and you did this? You want me to walk?
Yeah.
And then the other thing they mentioned is that, well, if you don't walk, gas bubbles can get trapped in your body and you can feel severe pain from the gas bubbles and stuff like that. Yes. And you have to walk like that. So after I first woke up, I think I had some slight discomfort, some pain, and I'm like, okay, I'm freaking out. I'm like, is this what they talk about? Is this what I'm going to start feeling? And but once again, because I already started losing weight and I was already getting active again, and that was the other thing that I had to worry about too when the first year, because I was already on blood thinner medicine. I stopped drinking about maybe almost a year before my surgery because of the blood thinners. I couldn't really drink and stuff like that. Like I would even take a sip of beer because of that. So it made it easier for me. So when I got out of the surgery, I had some discomfort, some pain, but I remember the doctor saying, and all the nurses saying, you must walk, you must walk, you must walk.
Yep.
I got up and I walked and I walked and I walked. I think every 15, 30 minutes I got up and I walked the whole hospital.
Yep.
It got to the point the nurses are like, we're going to have to strap you to the bed because we've never seen somebody walk so much.
Yeah.
So I had my little, nightgown on. I had my little
IV,
and I'm walking around and they're like, we said to walk a little bit, not like, but for me, I was like every 15, 30 minutes, I was like, okay, time to get up, time to walk. And I'd walk like 3 times around the whole top floor of where I was at.
Yeah.
And I kept on doing it. I did that the whole night. So for me, because I was so afraid of gas bubbles and so afraid of getting a blood clot in my legs and stuff like that, I made sure I walked. And I was surprised by, other than when I first woke up, I was having discomfort. But once I got past that, I was feeling good. And I was like, okay, this is where it starts. And I'm going to show them that they picked the right candidate for the surgery. Yes. So I'm going to walk and walk and walk. Then after that, that's where it starts to get a little crazy because you only can eat and drink certain things the first couple of weeks and month. And that's where it was kind of challenging because, I wasn't hungry, but I know I had to sip water, but I was afraid to drink water. And you stay on the liquid diet, clear, then you had to do the crush or soups and clear soups, and then you can move on to the next process. And so that part right there was very challenging because now I went and bought like all this stuff from food and broth and Gatorade and all the stuff that they told me. And that's the one thing you got to do. You definitely need to make sure you prepare yourself because you don't want to start buying this stuff after the fact. You want to make sure you had everything ahead of time.
That it's in your house, yeah.
If you go in my kitchen closet right now or my cabinet, I think I have a case of chicken broth still. I think I bought like 5 cases of chicken broth because I wasn't sure how much I was going to be drinking or eating because I wanted to make sure I had enough and that I didn't have to go to the store to go get it. So that first couple of weeks was very, very hard because you can eat so much, not ice cream, but like ice pop,
The popsicle.
Popsicles,
Yeah.
no sugar and stuff like that. So that process for me was, very challenging because I was slowly figuring out what I couldn't eat because I heard nightmares about people eating the wrong things or doing stuff like that. So that piece was very, very challenging. But I want to say at the same time, because I was so motivated, by the second week, I was already walking around my block when I got home. So like every hour or so, my son would go with me. We would walk the block, and I did it one time, and then I would come home, and then next thing you know, I would do it 2 times. And then every day, I found myself just walking around the block, my block, and so it got easier for me.
Right.
And then, I went to go see my doctor, and he told me I'm looking good and everything like that, and everything was working out well. And I was like, "Hey, doc, when can I start exercising?" He's like, "Well, you can't start doing stuff yet. You need
hold up.
saying, eventually you get clearance and stuff like that, and then you can just use like small dumbbells and stuff like that." I went and bought like 2-pound dumbbells, and I'm like, "Doc, I used to bench press like 400 pounds,
right.
2-pound dumbbells." And at that point in time, I couldn't lift anything heavier than that. So it was very humbling to me because I had to start from the beginning to kind of start exercising to understand my body, understanding what I was doing, what I could eat and drink, and you learn very quick what you can eat and drink.
Yes.
You could take a sip of water and you'd be like, okay, I think I could get one more little sip in, and that one little sip
will send you over the edge.
Yes. And nothing.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and it freaks you out, like, because you're like, well, no, I'm following the rule, but all I did was take a little sip. It was not even. So that part was very difficult for me, and but I got through that and I learned through that. I want to say by the first full month after I had surgery, I want to say I did 2 5Ks that following month.
Wow, that's impressive.
You know, and it wasn't like my best time. I wasn't running.
Yeah.
I just walked them.
Right.
And I want to say within the first 6 months after my surgery, I think I did about maybe 8 or so 5Ks within the first 6 months.
Wow.
And then, once again, you learn as you go through the process. You learn what you can or can't eat. You know what I'm saying? I learned that I couldn't do certain things. I had to take it easy. I learned that I had to, gradually build up my strength because I wasn't as strong as I used to be. I learned when I was hanging out with my friends, hey, they can do this, they can drink, and at this time, they told you no alcohol, no carbonation, no sodas. I remember, not to get nasty, but you might have problem going to the bathroom,
right?
Because of the medication and the pain pills, painkillers like that. So you do Metamucil, you do whatever. All that the first year was very difficult, and you learn your body very quickly on what you can or can't take or supplements, stuff like that. So the first year was very difficult, but at the same time, I knew that by exercising and focusing on that it helped me to get through the process a lot easier and a lot better and stuff like that, and being prepared. I read a lot of books. I went through and Googled everything. I even think I bought one of those dummies guide to weight loss surgery. It's probably buried somewhere in my room. I promise you, just to get the knowledge. So that kind of was like my first year. Was very just learning my body, learning what I could and couldn't eat, focusing on exercising, and making sure that I followed every single rule the doctor provided me. And then also too, there's a lot of, like, you go on Facebook and there's a lot of support groups. And one of the things I found was they could be helpful, but harmful.
Yes. Because
every person is different on how they react and what they went through their first year, 6 month within the surgery. Where I saw people say, "Oh, I could do this in the first month. I could do that," or "I was able to do this," and then you can't mimic what they're doing because your body may not react the same way.
Correct.
So there's no set guide for that first year of what's going to happen or what's going to transpire with you. Yes. You kind of have to learn what's going to happen and go with it.
Yeah, day by day. And it's totally different too. Like, I remember when I first had surgery, when I first started to be able to eat solid foods again, right? I couldn't have leftovers.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they would make me so sick, and I would be so disappointed because, like, we would go out to a restaurant and I would, leave the portion I was going to eat on my plate, and like put the everything else back, or not back, but like, a little to go box, and like I was like, I'll eat that tomorrow or whenever. Tomorrow came, took a bite of that, and let me tell you, it was hellish. It was horrible. Like now I can eat some leftovers.
Yeah.
But that was during the first year. I was like, well, I guess this is it. Like there's just nothing I can do about that. And your body will change again, and that's the thing, is that like whatever like starts to work for you, and then it changes again, like you should really expect that to happen, because for me, drinking water 6.5 years after surgery is still a struggle.
Yeah.
And my doctor gets on my case about it, but it's one of those things that I have to work at it. I have to remind myself, hey, you need to drink water. I have to remind myself, you haven't had much to eat today, much protein, and I'm a vegetarian to boot, so it's like, that's always like a concern for people. But those changes, they're very, very, very personal.
Yeah. And that's what they told me too. Like they said that don't buy a lot of bulk of certain things because your taste bud change.
Yes.
Now, being a guy that used to, lift heavy, I used to, like I said, I played some high school football and some college football. I used to bench press a lot. I used to love working out. So I could take about 5-6 eggs, cook eggs up, and eat it. I struggle to this day to eat eggs. I force myself. For some reason, it almost makes me nauseous to eat it.
Yes.
Even chicken, unless it's like chicken soup or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go to KFC and eat a bucket of chicken by myself. Not that we eat bucket of chicken now.
Yeah.
But I may eat a leg, and for some reason it
doesn't taste the same.
It doesn't sit well. So it's like, and my friends are like, that's kind of strange. I'm like, I don't know. I can't explain it. Like I'll get an omelet and I'll eat half of it, and I'm not even half, like a small portion of it, and they're like, why are you stuffed? I'm like, I'm not stuffed. I just feel nauseated.
Yeah.
Because for some reason I have a hard time eating eggs, and they're like, but my son will tell you, I used to cook eggs and make up I don't really cook a lot, but that was like the one thing that was a masterpiece on.
Right.
I can take eggs, I throw some Sazon in there, I throw some adobo, I throw some onion, and cook it up, throw some bologna sometimes, and now I was like, I see a plate of eggs in front of me, and it's almost like, okay, I know I need the protein.
Yeah.
I'm going to force myself and try to eat as much as I can before my body says, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's almost 2 years out, and I still, to this day, struggle to eat eggs, and I still struggle to eat chicken.
Yep.
Yeah. And I never thought my taste bud would change like that, but there's a lot of things like that just don't taste the same to me.
Yeah. For me, was pizza. Like when I eventually was able to eat pizza again, it tasted like cardboard, and I was like devastated. I was like, oh my God, I will never eat pizza again. And that's still to this day my number one favorite food. Cheese pizza. I'm so plain Jane sometimes. I'm like, pizza, cheese pizza. I'm a vegetarian. I skip all the veggies on the pizza. I'll eat those separate, like just cheese pizza, And I like lived in Boston for forever, so like city pizza is like the bomb. So I was like, man, this tastes like cardboard. It was so gross.
Yeah.
It was so disgusting. So eventually it changed. I'm able to eat pizza now, and I still enjoy it. Obviously in much smaller amounts. I'm not crazy about the crust, because obviously it's like pure bread and it just expands and it hurts.
Yeah.
But it's just funny how like even years out you're still you're still experiencing changes.
Yeah, there's certain things that you just don't like the same, or just you can eat it. It doesn't taste the same. It is the flavors. I don't know what it is. I can't explain. I tell my friends, and we go places, we go to like brunch and stuff like that, and I go, I'm like, ooh, eggs, ooh, yeah, okay.
See, I can't eat eggs. Side note, like I had my gallbladder removed, and that was one of my side effects. Is that I cannot have eggs. They make me violently ill. I just avoid them, even though I think they taste good.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do really with the gastric bypass. It was the side effect of having my gallbladder removed. But tell me some of the foods that you do enjoy, because I think that's what freaks people out, is that they're like, I will never be able, and that never is where they get stuck.
Yeah.
So tell me like the foods that you enjoy.
Well, like for me, I eat a lot of good stuff. Like like I said, it's almost a year out for me, and also too because like I said, I work out a lot. You know,
Mhm.
that's one thing I tell people that some of the foods that I do eat or some of the stuff that I partake in
Mhm.
is not the norm, but
Mhm.
I burn a lot of calories. I work out like 5 to 6 days a week.
Yeah.
I'm normally in the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours when I do go. Between running 1 to 2 5Ks a month, I am in constant. I'm hungry, but I know I can't eat that much. But I need to break it up throughout the day, so I need to eat certain things.
Right.
And I think I was discussing with earlier. Like I can't eat chicken. Like I can eat maybe a couple pieces of chicken breast, and then I have to stop. So I have to find other ways to get calories in my system. So I eat Oreo cookies.
Mhm.
I eat pizza.
Mhm.
I eat Chinese food.
Yeah.
Um, I eat chocolate chip cookies. And once again, not in a big portion or not all at once, but like little bits here and there. So I get to enjoy the same foods that I had before, but I eat in moderation. Like I say, I eat pizza.
Mhm.
Depending on the slice of pizza where you get it from, I may have, if it's like one of those New York style, I have one slice and
And you're done.
I'm done.
Yep.
And halfway through the pizza, sometimes what I'm doing is I don't eat the crust.
Mhm.
And then I might eat to a certain piece, and then all of a sudden I'm just pulling the cheese off, or if I do I'm a meat eater, so I do pepperoni or sausage.
Right.
So now I just peel the sausage and the cheese off and just eat that by itself, and that way I get the protein and not all the bread and carbs that way.
Right.
I definitely stay away from the carbonation. I don't drink soda. I think I haven't drank soda in almost 2 years now.
Yep.
I don't drink beer because of the carbonation as well. But for the most part, when it comes to snack food, I eat chips, I eat pretzels. I still get to enjoy that. Like I won't go to Texas State Brazil, which is like all you can eat meat thing. That used to be one of my favorite restaurants.
Right.
Because now, before I didn't mind spending $50-$60 to eat all the meat I can, but I know I can't.
Right.
So I don't make myself go to places like that because I'm not going to enjoy it. So whatever I do eat, I eat in moderation, and then also I kind of keep track of my calories and how I work out to make sure I do have enough proteins, and I make sure I take the right supplements and I take the right workout products to kind of help me to maintain muscle mass and get what I need to maintain what I'm trying to accomplish.
I think one of the biggest things that I've always heard doctors say is making sure that you get your protein in, which is a really what I thought was going to be a really big concern for me. It's not. It's just making sure. It's just tracking what you're eating. And I wanted to highlight that. I wanted to be like, look, we can still eat. We can still, I still love Doritos. It's my weakness, believe it or not. I love to bake. I love to bake for my family. Banana nut breads, like during the holidays, like I'm like, that's my stress reliever. And it's not so much the eating it. It's just that I love to bake from scratch. So so my family gets to enjoy all that stuff. And I'll nibble. Don't get me wrong. I'll be like, okay, I can have a cookie. Trust me, if I get greedy and have 2 cookies, I pay for it. Whether it's extreme pain or running to the bathroom or and I'll address that as well. When you have the Roux-en-Y or the gastric bypass, one of the side effects to that is dumping.
Oh.
And I'll explain what dumping is real quick. Your body, if you eat too much sugar or too much fat, because of the way that your intestine is now attached to your new stomach, right? Your body doesn't absorb nutrients like it used to, right? So it also doesn't absorb fats or sugars like it used to, which is why they tell somebody, a patient who's about to have gastric bypass to also avoid alcohol. So given all that, right, if you eat too much of any sugar, fat, or even just overstuffing your stomach, you are going to eliminate that, and that's what they call dumping.
Yes.
So it is either going to come up because you're going to vomit, or it is going to come out the other end. Either way, it is extremely painful. Have you had any experiences with dumping?
Yes. For me, I've had that several times where, and once again, it's like I could eat like 5 Oreo cookies, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what? There's one cookie left.
Right.
And I go to eat it, and sometimes I can eat it, but what happens is within 15 minutes or so, 30 minutes, all of a sudden I break out in a cold sweat.
Yes.
And I feel nauseous and clammy and weak, and I feel like I have to lay down, and next thing you know, like I'm covered, shivering, and it takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And my son's with me sometimes where we will do something, and I go somewhere, and you have like some M&Ms and like that, and I'll have like whatever, a couple M&Ms, and then that one last M&M hits,
Yes.
and my sugar level goes up, and that's like when the first year I made sure I avoided all sugar,
Yes.
or if there was something every bar or snack bar, I always flipped and read this thing. Okay, 8 grams of sugar, so I'm good. Because I think most doctors tell you try to stay under like 12 grams,
Right.
The first year or so. And I made sure I did that. But then as you get adventurous and you go out certain times, you're not paying attention to what you're doing. I remember the first time that happened to me, and I thought, okay, this is what they're talking about. And I had to lay down, and I felt like a child going through. It's almost like not withdrawal, but like the symptoms, like you're shaking,
Yes.
and you sweat, and you feel woozy and nauseous, and then you feel full all at the same time. And that is a feeling that you don't want to experience multiple times.
Yes.
I think I experienced it a couple of times. And now I and I think that's the one thing too, as you go through the process, you learn your body, you learn what you can and can't eat. Because there's certain snacks that I know I've tried it, and no matter what portion of it I ate, it doesn't do me good, so I stay away from it.
Yes. Yes.
My parents are from the islands, and they make sweet plantains.
Yes.
And they fry it.
Oh my God, I cannot eat those either.
Before, my mom would literally make a plate just for me.
Yes.
So not only is it sweet, it's carbs, and it's fried.
Yes.
And I made a mistake of eating one, and that thing hit my stomach, and only one, and it wasn't even a big piece.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was like, "Are you okay? You're sweating." I'm like, "Oh, Mom, yeah, I'm fine.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Give me an hour.
Give me an hour." And I'm not eating sweet plantain. I think in Spanish it's maduro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was like one of my favorite. My mom would make that for me every time we had dinner.
Yep.
And she would make some for the family, and she would make some just for me, and just take some home. And I could not eat that at all because I experienced dumping from that, and I will never eat that again.
Yeah.
Never again.
I went to a coffee shop and had oh my God, like a flan coffee flavored drink, and oh my God, these symptoms were so horrible that I never had that coffee drink again.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember, there's just certain foods that you're just like, I remember that, I won't do it again. And sometimes, like when you mentioned Oreos, I'm like, oh, I've done that with Oreos. And I think I've done that like twice with Oreos. Now I know to, limit it to 2, not 3, for me personally, but like, you kind of learn, but like certain foods, I can't touch like ever again.
Yeah, never. Yeah, that's one thing I definitely.
Yeah.
Sweet plantains fried, will never touch that again. And you learn it. That's like part of your process. And once you experience it once,
you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's something that you don't want to experience it. Like, and this time where I've gone out to the store with my son, and went to the movies.
Right.
And, so you're like, oh, you're in the movies, get some Reese's Pieces, and, because you're snacking in the movie. And funny thing about it, sometimes it doesn't always hit you right away.
Right.
So you think you're fine, and I've gotten to my car and sat in my truck and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're gonna have to sit here for like 30 minutes because there's no way I can drive. It's almost like you can't.
Yes.
You almost like I could not physically drive my vehicle because I was dumping so bad that I was shaking, that I was like, there's no way I could legally drive my car and feel like I'd be safe to do that.
Yeah.
And that's how bad it was. Yeah.
Yes. My dumping experiences have been horrible as well, and you just learn, and it's part of the process, guys. I know some people are probably watching this or listening in, and they're like, I'm not going to do that. I will avoid. Trust me, there will be something that just won't sit well. Like I said, for me, it was leftovers for a while. Like that caused dumping.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy because I was like, dude, I just ate this yesterday. Like, what's the problem?
And that's the thing is, there's certain things you can eat one time and
Yeah.
you don't have an issue, and you eat it again, and then you're like, wow,
Yeah.
I ate this before. I don't know why it's happening now. And it's like, it's almost like a calculator. Like, okay, 4 Oreo cookies is the max, right? And
Yeah.
if you ate 4, that I didn't have any issues, so I'm good.
Yeah.
But then there's another day you go to eat that 4th one,
Yes.
and then next you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But I already tried this already, and I know I could eat 4. So not that you should be eating Oreo cookies anyway. But once again,
that as an example.
Depending on your workout and what you do, you can partake in the good stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I noticed for me, I love salads. I love quinoa and brown rice. I think I like quinoa more than brown rice. Have you had quinoa?
I've had quinoa. I'm not a big fan of quinoa.
Not a big fan of. A lot of people aren't, so it's kind of like a love-hate relationship. I have noticed that if I have a salad, I can eat, and I'm not encouraging you to eat like large portions, but I can eat more vegetables than I can like rice and beans. I don't eat meats, obviously, but like eating rice and beans, like I can eat like a smaller portion of that, but like vegetables, I feel like I can throw down.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be the same for you, or?
Yeah, because for me, I know when my doctor has had surgery, he said it has to stay away from rice as much as possible because of it expanding like that.
Yes.
So for me, I kind of limit the rice. Like, so if I do Chinese food, I don't eat. One of my things, I just order like a quarter pork fried rice and eat it by myself, no problem.
Right.
Now, I might take a spoon or 2 of rice, just as a mental thing.
Right.
I probably eat more, but as a thing to myself, I always say to myself, hey, protein first, rice, or carbs or vegetables later. So like if I do a salad, I order like a salmon salad and stuff like that, and I try to make sure I get as much protein as possible. But at the same time, like you said, I can eat the salad and eat the whole bowl and be good to go. But then I got to make sure, okay, how much protein did you get?
Yes.
And not get too comfortable, because what happens is you eat the salmon, and the salmon, you feel it more going in, and it sits there. Whereas the salad, you can chew it and chew it and chew it and chew it, and so it kind of satisfies your chewing and eating process.
Yes. Yep.
But then at the same time, eventually you get to the point where you ate too much salad and not enough of the protein.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I know your situation as a vegetarian, you have to get your proteins, either beans or however.
I do eat fish every so often, so I'll have salmon as well. But
and my other way that I get protein is.
I guess that's a pescatarian for anybody who's super picky.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, wait a second. Technically, you're this. So for me, I eat meat, so I don't care what you call it, vegetarian, pescatarian, whatever it is. I eat meat. But what I do to kind of compensate for the fact that I don't eat chicken as much, and I just kind of now started eating some beef here and there, but very small portions.
Okay. And
I might eat some ribs, very small portions. So primarily, I would eat a lot of fish. You know what I'm saying? And the only way I could eat chicken comfortably is in a chicken noodle soup, where it kind of melts and I don't feel it as much when it goes down. But I do a lot of protein powders. And what I do is I either eat a lot of yogurt, Greek yogurt, to kind of compensate for my protein. And then I would also do flavorless protein. But there's a flavorless protein that I use that, like, so if I eat a Greek yogurt, which may have 10, 15 grams of protein, this protein powder has anywhere from 25 to 30 grams. So I mix it in my yogurt, so then that way I can compensate for whatever lack of proteins that I may have eating it. But I try to get it in through shakes, muscle milk, protein powders, and then that way I add it to my routine, because as my goal to lose weight, but it's also my goal to be muscular and maintain muscle mass. So I have to add more muscle or more protein to my diet than probably most normal people would, and that way I can build the muscle mass that I need and stuff like that. So I always have to find ways to add protein without adding the bulk of eating chicken, fish, and meats to get the protein that I need.
There is a lot of change, like we've discussed, that comes with having surgery. What can you advise a person like yourself? For example, you have a busy life, you have a busy career, you have a busy social life. What can they expect, or what would you recommend somebody who is like, okay, like, is this going to slow me down? Like, how do I now incorporate this into my already crazy busyness?
For me, it's everybody has their goals and what they want to accomplish in life. My biggest thing is, when I had the surgery, I didn't want the surgery to limit me, and I wanted it to kind of enhance what I was trying to do with my life. you hear it multiple times, and I say this multiple times to people. The surgery is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you use that tool is how successful you're going to be.
Yes.
You know, I'm 47 years old. I run 2 to 3 5Ks a month,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done that for the last year and a half almost. I played on a softball team. You know, I play basketball. I go on hikes. I get up at like 4:45 every morning. Hit the road by like 5 something, so I can get to the gym by like 5:45, 6 o'clock. So then that way I can get an hour and a half to 2 hours work, take a shower, then head to work.
Right.
You know, I'm a big salsa dancer,
Okay.
and he's trying to join the interview.
Yeah.
Kane. I'm a big salsa dancer, so for me, it's always finding ways to find exercise, but to do it in a fun way.
Okay.
Like, so I'd go to class and I salsa dance, and I'm there for like 2-3 hours dancing.
Yeah.
I
call that happy exercise.
Oh yeah, happy exercise. So for me, my life just got enhanced by this process. I weigh 380 pounds.
Mm-hmm. What's your current weight?
Right now I'm at 220.
Gotcha. Wow.
So it's been not even 2 years. I lost a total of 160 pounds.
Yes.
And I probably would weigh less, but because of the muscle mass I have, I stayed at 220.
Mm-hmm.
But here's like a prime example. I was telling somebody with muscle mass, and because muscle burns more fat than just cardio, and that's another. Depending on who you talk to, you're gonna get different scenarios.
Right.
Like a couple of months ago, I weighed 220 and wore a size 36 pants.
Mm-hmm.
And now I weigh 220 and I wear a size 32 pants.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped 4 sizes, but I still weigh the same.
Yep.
So I tell people, don't always look at the scale.
Yes.
Look at your clothes and how you want to look.
Can you say that one more time?
Don't look at the scale. Look at your clothes and how you want to look.
Yes.
That's the ultimate goal. Because, another side effect of this surgery is if you're going from one weight level to another level, the one thing that most people who talk about weight loss surgery, or why they have fear of weight loss surgery, is extra skin.
Yes.
And that can be a whole nother topic on itself in regards to how your skin bounce back. And once again, that varies between your age, your activity, how big you are, how much you lose. But that is different in different people. And once again, going online, I've seen different people who weigh about the same. And that's one thing, like when you're in different forums, hey, where do you start at? Where do you end up at? Where are you gone? And do you have skin problems? And then some people post pictures.
Right.
And my biggest challenge for me was when I know I had my surgery is that I didn't want to have any loose skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I figured if I could work out and replace whatever fat with muscle, so then I wouldn't have as much loose skin.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why my ultimate goal is to say I'm going to work out as much as possible, because I wanted to keep that. And for the most part, like, I've been successful. I have some in my midsection, but barely any.
Mm-hmm.
And I was blessed once again with my genetics, and I was taking extra biotin because I know that's good for your skin, and I was putting cocoa butter lotion with coconut oil because it's good for your skin, and so there's different techniques to kind of help that. But my goal was to work out to replace the fat with muscle, so then that way I wouldn't experience that situation. So it's definitely helpful, and based on different person, things like that. So.
And I love that you hit on a couple of things that I didn't even think to ask you. And it's just the self-care.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how important that is. And that's, we keep stressing the fact that it's very personal. It's an individual thing. Self-care. You have to figure out what works for you. You're going to learn what works for you. I'm so happy that I was able to interview Pierre and get like a man's perspective, because the other interviews I've done, were females, ladies who had, different types of surgeries done. So to know that a man took the time and the energy that it takes to take care of himself to get to a point where he was just like, look, I need this for my life. I want to be here for my family, for my friends. I want to continue living this good life, and that's how he approaches everything. Because when I approached him about doing the interview, he's like, I'm living the good life.
Living the good life.
in order to continue doing that, he put the effort and the energy that it takes, and I think that's so important. And I'm so happy that you brought that up. Being just very personal. I hope you walk away from this video knowing that it's going to be your own journey. Not letting people. I guess your close friends and family are the main people that I'm talking about, like give you negative feedback or input before surgery, because people freak out about surgeries, and everybody has their own opinion and that kind of thing. But really knowing what you need for yourself and moving forward with that, I think is super important.
Yeah, I think the one young lady that I talked to who had surgery 15 years ago, she just told me this. She's like, Pierre, people always say, well, now that you're skinny, you're going to change. She's like, to be honest, you're still the same person.
Yes.
The people around you are going to change and treat you differently.
Yes.
Because a lot of times I'm still the same Pierre, but I find that people treat me differently now, or don't know how to act around me, because now they feel that, oh, I can't eat certain things, or I can't go certain places, or I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not disabled. I'm not,
right. Yeah.
I'm still the same Pierre. I'm still the, but I do notice that your people around you, like I was, in the same situation, like, I had surgery, and, I was blessed in the sense of, I worked out, and, I kept in good shape and stuff like that. And that's a positive result of the surgery.
Right.
But at the same time, people change because now they see me differently. Like,
yes.
Skinny Pierre, or, not the heavy Pierre, or, man, you're different. And I'm like, no, I'm still that same guy. It's just, I have more energy now. I don't want to sit home anymore. I don't want to sit in a bar anymore. I want to be active. I want to work out. And I've gained a whole new lifestyle now, where it's, over the last 3-4 years, like I said, before I had the surgery, I was miserable. I wasn't happy. I wasn't, I didn't want to go out as much. And when I did go out, I was falling asleep everywhere. You understand? My friends have a collection of pictures of me passing out everywhere. They're like, no matter what couch, we're somewhere at somebody's house, or here with my friends, and I'm sleeping. And now they're like, we can't even keep up with you anymore. You know what I'm saying? They're all like, we need to go to the gym now. We need to work out. We need to do this, because you open up a whole new light, or you're like a whole new person and stuff like that, which is a positive thing, because ultimately that's why you have the surgery, so you can live a better life and a good life. Yes. And you have to take advantage of it. So
yeah, I want to touch on that as well. Good point, because for me, that's one of the things that some people don't understand. They're like, okay, well, you've lost all this weight. Like, I have one friend who's, I like to joke and say she's my personal stylist. She's the one who got me out of dressing like I did when I was bigger, because that's a process too. Everything is a process, but like, I would wear things that were like still a little boxy because I was afraid, I was still dressing for like the bigger Vanessa and not for this, 126-pound Vanessa. And she would look at me, she'd be like, no. And she's brutally honest, and I love it. And I was like, okay, what are you recommending? She's like, and we'd be at the store, she'd be like, that's cute, that's cute, that's cute. And I'm like, that's like out of my comfort. Like, what are you talking about? And I got used to it, and now, I'm like, well, I want that. That's super cute. Like, you see things differently. But, I feel like I also have gained new friends.
Yes.
When you change and you want to be healthier and you want to make that change for yourself, I'm going to just give you fair warning. You are probably going to lose some friends who are not going to understand that.
Yes.
They are not going to want to hang out with you as much. Some people, not everybody experiences, but they're envious of that change because they want it, but they, for whatever reason, have not achieved it. They're not ready to make those changes, whatever their case may be. It does affect the friendship, so I feel like, you should be prepared for that too. Like, so your social life is definitely going to change. Your social circle could, change as well. So.
Yeah, because you definitely want to hang out with motivated people and
yes.
be motivated and stuff like that. And another side effect, which is a good side effect, is you're going to need a whole new clothes wardrobe. And that's like one thing too. And always, as every big person know, you go in your closet, you have your big clothes, your bigger clothes, and then, sometimes you got some small clothes that you bought, but you're not sure if you're going to be able to wear it. So you're gonna go through your closet and you need to get rid of all those big clothes because
Yes.
you don't want any motivation, you don't want any remnants of your past.
Yes.
So you're going to need some clothes budget. So go ahead and start saving money for your clothes budget because
Yes.
now you dress a different way. And once again, not that you're trying to flaunt or show off, but you're going to need a new clothes to kind of go with your new attitude.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
New attitude, new body.
New
yeah,
body.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, and you don't want to hold on to none of those old clothes. I don't want to go into my closet and see it because I got rid of all my clothes. Because I said to myself, you know what? If it's not there, I can never go back there.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
And I didn't want to be like, okay, let me just hold this one shirt because, you know, you never know. I'm like, no, there isn't. You never know. I got rid of everything. I cleared my closet out, and I'm fortunate enough to where I was able to go buy some stuff, not right, you know, all at once, but
yes.
over time frame. Because that's one thing. You don't want to go buy a bunch of new clothes now because then you're gonna lose more weight.
Yes.
And then you're gonna lose more weight.
Yep.
You're gonna lose more weight because, like I said, I bought some pants that were, you know, I thought 36 was gonna be my stop weight.
Right.
And then I had what, like 10 pair of pants. 'Cause I'm like, oh, I need new pants now. I had to go get all those 10 pants redone and rehemmed in and moved down. So I'm like, I'm not spending more money to go buy more pants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's a good,
good side effect.
Good side effect of that and stuff like that. But but ultimately, when you go out, people see you differently, they view you differently, and you have to expect that, and you kind of sense it, and you don't think that would happen. But like even like for me, and like in my culture, food is a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. My mom still has a hard time understanding why her big, strong football player's son doesn't eat all her food or doesn't eat all her cooking, or when I go there, she's so used to me going for plate number 2 or 3.
Yep.
And she's like, is something wrong with the food? I'm like, no, Mom, nothing wrong with the food. I just can't eat that food.
Yep.
And that was like the hardest challenge, trying to get her to understand, so when are you going to be able to eat food again? I'm like, no, Mom, see, that's I'm not trying to get back to where I was before, right. So I can't eat those type of foods anymore. I might eat certain things, but you're either going to have to cook it differently or my portion size of it is going to be different.
Yes.
And even then, it's like she asks me that question all the time when I go to her house, and she brings me a plate. I'm like, Mom,
I'm sorry, I can't eat all that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go back and take some of that off, take some of this off, take some of that off, or let's do this. You put all that back and let me get what I think I need to get. You know what I'm saying? And then if I need more, then I'll get some more. But it definitely, that's another challenge of this process, is that you have to mentally change, but be aware that your family and friends will be changing as well.
Yes. Yeah. You mentioned something about buying clothes. So I wanted to touch on that too. Ladies, I can't speak for the men, so I will get Pierre's input in just a moment. But ladies, they do fill your stomach with air when they're going to do the surgery, so that they obviously have enough space to work in there. Okay, that's part of the what we talked about, having all the gas pain right after surgery. And plus, obviously, they're cutting incisions, so your belly's going to be swollen for 2 obvious reasons. And then obviously, so you're gonna feel this bloated feeling, possibly because you just feel swollen and just uncomfortable. Don't do what I did. I went shopping a month after surgery, and I was still swollen and just still like raw right after surgery. And I'm like so upset and like heartbroken because I'm thinking, oh my God, the surgery is not gonna work. Like, don't do that. Like, don't torture yourself that way. Wait at least 2 to 3 months before you start to shop. If you're trying to figure out, what to wear after, stretchy clothes will take you a long way those first few months. And I know that's almost like counterproductive, because when you're trying to lose weight, they say not to wear the yoga pants, when you're trying to lose weight without surgery, because, you get comfortable in yoga pants, and you should wear jeans or something where you feel the weight gain. When you're losing weight after surgery, that comfort is so important, because you're healing not only on the inside in your body, but these incisions are also healing. So just something to consider when you're going to go when you're going to go shopping for clothes. I wouldn't recommend 30 days out, but if you're so inclined and you're excited to, go for it. Would you recommend the same?
Yeah. It takes time. Like I said, I went and bought some stuff and then realized, hey, I wanted to keep on changing, and my body style change too, So there's a lot of things I bought that I don't wear because I bought too soon, and
Yes,
I wish I would
I
have
did
waited
that.
a little bit longer
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't sure where I was going to end up. And you're going to hit some plateaus where you think you're there the first, especially the first year.
Yes.
6 months, first 6 months, where you're going to have a period where you lose a lot of weight, then you're going to stop. Then you're like, oh, wait a second, I'm stopping. And then you're going to lose again, and then you stop. And then, so you almost kind of have to kind of see what you want to do and not go too crazy.
Right.
And buy it in stages, because your body is going to be, because you're not going to know where your body's going to, plateau, or where it's going to find a happy medium or happy place. So you definitely want to take your time and make decisions on what you're going to buy at the time of your surgery, and then make sure you're comfortable, because once again, like you said, your stomach is sensitive. Yes. And you have to wear stuff, and like even when I work out now, I normally wear like a slimmer belt waist. Yes. Thingies that kind of just keep my stomach tight, keep my core tight, but also I'm trying to work on getting those abs and stuff like that. Yes. Those people talk about those stuff,
Yeah.
The skinny people be talking about those abs things. So, I'm focusing on that. So I try to wear like a slimmer, and even, right now I'm wearing like a compression shirt under my shirt.
Gotcha.
And it kind of helps me feel good, because it keeps everything tight. And then, so you feel good. You feel like, because, you might, for some people who experience a lot of excess skin, it kind of keeps everything hidden, and kind of keeps you, mentally, you don't think about it. In your mind, you might see it more than others. But there's tools that you want to add to your thing, where you buy compression shirts or you wear waist trimmers to kind of help with your look. And then as you get slimmer, you can buy smaller sizes and stuff like that. But you definitely want to do it in stages, and then don't run out to Macy's or whatever store you buy your clothes at, and spend $500 to $1,000 buying clothes, and then next thing you know, you're like 2 months from now you lost another 20-30 pounds, and you can't return them. So.
Oh, and by the way, it's more expensive to get them tailored than it is to just go out and spend another $500 on clothes. I learned that the hard way.
I learned that the hard way too, because a lot of those dress pants I bought, that by the time they went and sliced them and diced them, I was like, I could have bought another pair of pants, but I already bought these, and these are brand new. I'm like,
you're like, I'm not wasting.
I can't, and I donated a lot of clothes as charity, but some of these stuff I was like, I need to keep for myself, because I don't have that kind of money.
You're like, I paid for that. Well, Pierre, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you feel that I may not have covered? I'm so excited with how this conversation has gone.
For me, the biggest thing is just be happy with yourself, make the decision, do the research, talk to people, talk to the doctors. Don't just pick the first doctor that you see. Yes. Make sure you do your research on that. You definitely have to work after the fact. I'm saying the surgery is just a tool.
Yes.
If you don't use a tool the right way, you're not going to benefit from it.
Correct.
Just know that it's not an overnight process. It's not a cheat. That's something we talked about before.
Yeah. It's not the easy way out.
Not the easy way out, because you have to do work. You're going to suffer. You're going to feel some pain. You're going to feel some changes, not just mentally, physically. And all in all, you have going in it that it's a life-changing process.
Yes.
You're going to live a better life as long as you focus on the fact that you did this change for a better life.
Yes.
And so for me, if there's anything I gained from this, is that, my confidence level is back to norm. And it's not even that it was down, but I feel like I've got a new life.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like, I'm 47, that I've gained a new life. I'm going in the right direction, and everything is working out for me. I'm enjoying it. I'm doing all the right things. And, so ultimately it's something that you have to really put your thought process into it, make the decision, and don't make it lightly. It's going to be a lifestyle change. There's going to be some hurdles, but the reward at the end is worth it, definitely.
Absolutely. I'm 100% in agreement. I have no regrets. I would say do it for yourself. You cannot make this decision for anybody else. You can't do it for a spouse. You can't do it for family members. You have to do this for you. So I hope you have enjoyed this week's session. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed that candid conversation with Pierre. I hope that this information has been useful for you from a patient's perspective. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I am happy to answer them. If you like this video, please like and share it with your friends or anybody that you know is considering weight loss surgery. I think it'll be very helpful. It also lets us know that you are liking the information that we're providing here, and I will bring you more of it. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed week.